Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Wendy's Kooky Crochet Tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this really easy, completely beginner friendly cat-eared beanie. And this is made with single crochet only, and it's super customizable, so you can make it for any size that you want. So stay tuned, everyone. Alright, to make this very simple beginner friendly cat-eared beanie, what you're going to need is you're going to need your yarn, and I'm using a this is a loops and threads yarn, I believe. I have a bad habit of throwing away my yarn sleeve after a while. But I believe this is a loops and threads yarn. It's the puffy yarn. And then I have my 8mm crochet hook. You're going to need a measuring tape, some scissors, and maybe even a stitch marker. And you're probably going to need a yarn needle also, and then you're going to need your size chart here, and this is on my community page, and I'm going to make this for my niece, and she is just turning a year old, so I think I'm actually going to make it to the 1.5 to 2 years age, so it fits her just a little bit longer. So that means I want the circumference to be 16.5 inches, so that's like how wide I'm going to make this, and then I'm going to kind of sew it up, and so that's the diameter, and then this is the hat height that I'm going to need. So I'm going to need I'm going to make mine at least to the 6.5 inches. So my goal with this pattern is something that you can do for complete beginners. So it's going to be single crochet only, and I teach a crochet class here, and I just wanted to make something that I thought would be good for a person that's really never made much of anything before. To start off with, what we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot. If you don't know how to make a slip knot, I've got several other videos on how to make them, and I will try to remember to link them in the little box above. And then I'm going to chain, and then I'm going to chain to the hat height that I want. So I'm going to chain till this is about 6.5 inches. I'm probably going to chain till it's a little bit longer than 6.5 inches. So you want to chain however many inches you need plus 1, because you're going to use 1 for your turning chain. So again, I'm just going to chain here until I'm about 6.5 inches long, and I need to get my measuring tape out because I'm terrible with that. So let's see here, 6.5 inches is about to here, and again I may do it just a tad bit longer because I need 1 for my turning chain. So how I'm getting there, so a few more. Let's do 3 more and see where we're at. Okay, let's see here now. And you know, in reality, you think like a baby's head's really, really small, but they are small, but like a 1-year-old's head is really not like that much of a difference. Then like, it's only about a 3-inch difference than a small adult's head, which seems like it's not a thing, but it is. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to work in your second chain from hook. So this is your first chain and this is your second chain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to single crochet all the way down my chain. And again, second chain from hook. I'm going to make a single crochet, 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way down. Now that I'm to the end, all I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn. And now I'm going to do the same thing again all the way down. So 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way down. And it could be a good idea too to count your stitches just to make sure you're not adding too many. So if you look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stitches. So I have 14 stitches, and then this top one was my turning chain, so I'm not going to work into that one. Okay, so I have 14 stitches all the way down, so you're just going to work through both loops, 1 single crochet all the way down, and 14 stitches. And if you have trouble seeing like that number 14 or which stitch you're ending up with, you may want to use your stitch marker and just mark that stitch so you're not getting too many stitches, or too little stitches for that matter. Okay, chain 1, turn, and then you're just going to keep doing that back and forth until you have the length that you need. And again, I'm going to make mine to about the 16.5 length. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth, doing this until I have the length that I need to have. So if you want to, you can pause the video here, and I'm just going to speed everything up so it looks like I have done this magic overnight pretty much, or within the next few seconds, instead of you know, it taking me a while to do this. So I'm just going to speed the video up and pause it right here if you want, and then I will see you back here when we are going to the next section. Let's get a proper measurement now. Yeah, let's say that's pretty good there. Measure this side just to make sure again. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to fasten this off. So I'm going to cut this long so I can sew it up. So I'm going to sew it up along a long edge like this. I'm also going to sew it up right here. So I'm going to sew it up on the edge right here, so the edge of my working edge is what I've been doing, and then I'm going to sew it up on the top edge right there. Let me just cut a pretty long piece here. And you could do this a couple of different ways, but this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to use my yarn needle to do this, and or you could slip stitch down the whole thing, but I do think this will be easier for beginners to use a yarn needle. So now I'm going to attempt to thread this yarn needle. It'll be a little tight. That's okay. All right. So now I'm just going to make sure I go through the top right here. So I'm going to grab this top kind of stitch right there. And I'm going to grab this stitch right here. And I'm just going to sew it up. Go to the next two. Guys, if you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video, making a comment. It would really mean the world to me, everybody. So now I'm at the edge. So right here on the edge, I'm going to put two at just one more now, because I did the very top. I'm going to put one more at the very top, and I'm going to tuck this in right here. I'm going to tuck it inside the hat. So I'm going to put one more right here at the very top. That way it holds it nice and secure. So here you can see it's sewn together nicely. You can even hardly see where the seam is, which is great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to sew across the top. So this is going to be the top of the hat here. I'm just going to take this again, like I've been doing. I'm just going to sew right across that top. Make sure you're grabbing enough stitches there that you can really sew it up well. Alright, so I'm just going to put another one in the corner right here. So now I have the top sewn up. So you can see how the top is sewn up right there. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could just kind of leave it like this and not sew the sides. But I like sewing the little sides up so you can really see the little cat ears more pronounced there. So I like sewing the sides up kind of like this. So now what you're going to do, if you want to sew the sides up, you don't have to. But if you want to, what you're going to do is you're just going to pick kind of where you think they should be. So let's say if I want my sides sewn up kind of like this right here, I am going to, maybe I'll put my stitch marker kind of right about here so I can know that's where I want it to go, is this line right here. So I'm just going to kind of weave in and out. I'm going to actually weave down. I'm going to weave in and out my thread here, or my yarn. And I'm kind of weird. I do not like cutting my yarn. So I'm going to do everything I can not to cut my yarn. I know it's kind of weird, but I hate actually sewing in ends. So I'm going to do everything I can not to cut my yarn. So I'm just going to weave this down until I get it about where I want it. So I think where I'm wanting this is about here, and I'm going to go from like here to here. So maybe follow that kind of line right there. So I'm just weaving my yarn again in and out until I get it where I want. Alright, so now that I've got it where I want, I'm going to just sew a line, and it's going to go through the front and back. So both front and back. So I'm just going to sew a line, a diagonal line. Here I'm going to go through this one a couple of times just so I get it good and sturdy in there. And again, I'm just going front and back. I'll poke this one through here and making my diagonal line now. I kind of like to go up in between, like if I go one stitch over all the way, I like to go up in between that. So if I go over, let's say this far, I'm going to come up right about here in the middle. That's quite a ways over what I did just now. That's probably not what I would normally do, is go over quite that far. I definitely didn't want to go over quite that far earlier, so. Another way you could do this is if you had like a spare, like a scrap piece of yarn laying around, and you wanted to use that to kind of make your diagonal line and then sew right by that. That would be a good way to do this too. Or you could have like the disappearing ink. That would be a good way to do it also, a marker with disappearing ink. When I take this now, you can see when I puff it up, you can definitely see the little, how it makes the little cat ears there when I puff it up. Just a little bit more defined. So now I want to do the same thing with the other side. So let's come down to about right here is about as low as we want to go with it. So I'm going to mark how low we're going to go with it. And then I may grab another stitch marker here. So let's see, how far over did we go? So we went about 1, 2, 3, about 4 over, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks about right here to me. So let's start it somewhere around this line right here. I can put my stitch marker in. So it looks like that looks about even to me. So now, again, like I said, I don't like cutting my yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave it in and out like I did before until I get to the place I'm going. So until I get to right here. If you would rather cut your yarn instead of doing this, totally do that. And now we're going to bring it upwards to here. And I'm going to do exactly like I did before, so I'm just going to work my way down. And what I'm going to do with this tail, the tail is on this end, I'm going to just make sure that little tail is stuffed up in the corner there, so my starting tail, that way I don't have to weave it in either. So now we are going to just weave in this end some and cut our yarn. So just weave it in, just go back and forth several times so you've got it weaved in really, really well this end. Go over places you've gone over already, and then when you're satisfied you can cut it off. And just I'm using a smaller hook here just to kind of pull it in here. Just going to pull it through so it disappears into the little pocket I made for the ear there. Alright, and here you go, guys. Here is the cute little completely beginner-friendly cat-eared beanie. I hope you enjoyed making this. If you did, please like my channel, subscribe, and happy hooking, everybody.